Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video we will be doing a roundup of recent changes that Blizzard has implemented into the game. Most of these changes are actually pretty good. A lot of them do make some sense, and Blizzard is adjusting essences. So yes, we will be talking about how Blizzard quote-unquote nerfed the essence of Lucid Dreams for fire mages and how it affects mages. And overall we'll be talking a bit about 8.2 and how it's shaping up to be so far. So let's dive into the video. I know that it's gonna look really weird of me saying mages are insane in patch 8.2, followed by video Lucid Dream nerf for mages. Let's talk about the nerf that happened. It is a nerf, but I don't think it'll be detrimental. Any fire mages that are mains, feel free to comment down below if you think this massively affects the spec. Memory of Lucid Dream's minor power is going to be reduced for fire mages by 33% because it ended up giving fire blast charges way too quickly. Prior to the nerf, there was pretty often for my mage to be sitting there casting fireballs and having 3 stacks of fire blasts right after I just finished unloading those fire blasts during my burst. So fire mages with a playstyle of Azeroth trade stack and for Blaster Master basically maintained an extra up to 1,000 or a little bit more mastery at all times. Blaster Master trait has been capped in previous patches to only 3, so Blizzard already limited just the potency of how big the burst can be. But what players found out is you can actually maintain that mastery for a far longer period, where you'll be able to accumulate a far more damage. And you could basically minimize mastery out of your stats completely, speccing fully into haste, crit, and versatility, and getting most of that mastery from Blaster Master with how often you could fire blast. Now, I don't really have the footage of me actually testing this, but I did get to do a lot of the fights in BOD Heroic as well as Mythic on my Mage, as this will be the ult that I will be bringing into my guild progression when it comes to Rise of Azara raid in 8.2 for the future. And I even did swap all my essences to Fire Blast, Blaster Master Wombo combo, and it still is very effective. It just doesn't allow you to maintain the mastery for some ridiculous amount of time. So still a very powerful essence, and Blizzard doesn't want to heavy hand Lucid Dreams on fire mages. It opens up a very fun playstyle of just being able to ignite the enemy back to back, and it adds a little bit of a speed up mechanic, especially during the fast paced bursts that you're able to execute. So I feel like this change, even though reducing the proc rate by 33, where we actually didn't really know exclusively what the proc rate was prior, it does proc a little bit less. I got a couple questions and answers that I know a lot of you guys will ask. Am I still gonna have a fire blast at a ready whenever I get a heating up proc? Yes, you will. You just won't be sitting at 3 of them. So this is overall not the worst possible nerf. People did know that maybe eventually Blizzard was going to do something with it, but this still allows fire mages to deal absolutely awesome damage and absolutely awesome numbers. It's super fun, and particularly in the fight for Rastakhan, I had a lot of fun because you have all these enemies where I'm single target turreting one dude and the mastery just spreads and sizzles everybody. Oh, is it so fun. Blizzard also decided to slap I can't really call this one a nerf, but a change to Harbingers Inscrutable Will, which is a caster trinket found in COS. This trinket does a fair amount of damage. The effect itself is it has a chance to spike the enemy for a bunch of shadow damage, but then you have these rippling waves that travel back to the caster or the user of the trinket, and if you get hit by those, you are silenced, making this a fun minigame for casters to be able to go through a rotation, and then the trinket will do a powerful damage spike, but then you gotta dodge these waves in order to not get silenced so you can continue your rotation. It keeps casters on their toes, but this trinket has proven more powerful than we ever thought it was. And this trinket is even more powerful in the hands of a melee. I know, this trinket has intellect, and rogues don't really use that, neither do hunters or ferals. But the effect of it, the spike of shadow damage, does quite a bit of damage, and it procs a fair amount for melee, especially for any melee that are all about putting bleeds on everybody, so you can have this trinket spike multiple times. And this trinket only has a silencing effect. If you're a rogue or a feral druid, nothing stops you from spamming shred with a silence, so you can continue doing damage inside of your rotation. We've seen this trinket used heavily in 5.1 duels by a lot of ferals, which has given them opportunity to shine the brightest. So now ferals and other classes that use Harbingers Inscrutable Will that are non-casters will actually have this trinket pacify you, which is interesting. adds a little bit of the gameplay. It creates the drawback for this trinket where melee actually do have some sort of a negative effect. But we should take a look at this trinket all over, and I really hope Blizzard doesn't make more stuff like this. I mean, the potential stats this trinket would have given you if it was agility or strength, I mean, those don't even compare. Those aren't even worth considering because of the damaging effect that this trinket does. Just how much damage it outputs, it almost plays the game for you, it feels like. And while I like the risk and reward for this trinket, and I feel like it played really well for a lot of casters, even in PvP, for melee it just turned out to be a really easy win trinket. Something you would just take into PvP and it would proc constantly on anybody you're hitting and do quite a bit of shadow damage, which feels like a little bit too much shadow damage. Let me know what your thoughts about the change to Harbingers Inscrutable in the comments below. Blizzard is also going to be doing a couple changes to, for example, Battle for Najat. And now Najat has seen a little bit of a faction disbalance. Blizzard is having a hard time trying to match Alliance players and Horde players against one another when they enter War Mode. Basically, when you enter War Mode, Blizzard will throw you into a bucket and they'll try to balance out the Horde and Alliance in that bucket, kind of like a bucket server, to try to create this War Mode experience, World PvP experience, in order to balance it. But so far they've been having a hard time, and a lot of the buckets that people get tossed into are Horde dominant or Horde exclusive, or Alliance dominant or Alliance exclusive. So when the Battle for Najat begins and there's no Horde in sight, the Alliance actually can't even win Battle for Najat because you need to at least slay one Horde member before you can even be eligible for rewards, and the same thing goes for the Horde. So far, the band-aid fix for this is if, for example, you have a bucket where it is Horde dominant or Horde exclusive, then instead of starting Battle for Najat, instead the zone will spawn Azshara's elite commanders. The faction then has to band together and kill these commanders, and they will still reward you the Najat battle commendations, like you would if you were to win Battle for Najat. I hope that Blizzard is working on a fix in the future few weeks in order to allow somehow to rebalance the sides when people enter War Mode and try to force Alliance and Horde at each other's throats, especially when Battle for Najat is active, because I've had a blast doing World PvP in patch 8.2. I've been having so much fun attacking Alliance all the time or getting attacked by Alliance and having this back and forth. It's been awesome because it re-inspired this Horde versus Alliance conflict, and when we have objectives to fight over, there's always dedicated locations where you'll find the members of the opposite faction to brawl with. So this is so far a nice fix, but the Battle Najat accommodations as of Tuesday were still not dropping. I don't know if that'll be hotfixed tomorrow or the day after. Maybe there's something that Blizzard needs to work on in the background, but last time I tried this in War Mode, they weren't working. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, the content is back up to speed, so be sure to dive into War Mode in Najat and hang around, see if you get one of those elite commanders spawning, try to see if you can get a tag on it and see if the rewards are dropping. If they're not, feel free to report it as a bug because that should be functioning properly. Overall, I gotta say, patch 8.2 has been amazing so far and has been treating me tremendously. There's so much stuff to do, sometimes I find it so difficult to even play my alts anymore. I've been grinding my main and then trying to gear my mage as best as I could while still trying to stream and make videos on this channel, and I haven't been this busy in quite a long while. And the busy stuff that you do actually feels kind of fun. It doesn't really feel like busy work, it doesn't feel like, oh my god, I'm grinding again. I'm actually enjoying the content I'm getting put out, and so far, I feel like a lot of other people have had similar reception. This is a stark contrast to the ending of patch 8.1 or 8.15, where it felt like there was absolutely nothing to do besides, you know, grinding AP or leveling a brand new character or doing PvP. There was so much more to do now than it was at the end of BOD. And I feel like this is a good change for World of Warcraft. A lot of people have been mentioning that this feels great, this feels nice, and this is what Blizzard needed. So I want to have you guys comment below your thoughts. What do you think about patch 8.2 thus far? Be aware we are only first week in the raid, and the season 3 for PvP and PvE hasn't even begun, but it's going to be here very, very soon. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see all of you in another one.